Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you like this watch, you can see it and purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Today, we discuss one of the most talked about watches of 2018 and perhaps its best size if you go precious metal. This is the Cartier Santos Medium in 18 karat red gold, a watch that bowed at SIHH and likely will become the most economically consequential of the watches launched at the Geneva Trade Fair. The watch wears easily on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. As you can see, the medium is a customary size for a dress watch. It doesn't feel medium at all. It feels the correct size for a discreet formal timepiece for a man. It is 35 millimeters across the broad of the case from 9 to 3 if you include the crown guards. If you don't include the crown guards, then the case itself, just the case, is 33 millimeters across. It's a slim watch at about 8.9 millimeters thick. This one's solidly in the thinner ranks of automatic winders, especially considering the 100-meter water resistance and the soft iron cage for anti-magnetism. Lug to lug, the watch has a good span, 42 millimeters, almost exactly that of a Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Grande Taille, and that's a contemporary men's case size. So though this is the medium, it has full-sized wrist presence, especially in red gold. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I have to say that there's nothing about this watch that would cue me into its medium-sized status. It feels perfectly proportioned and perfectly sized. It has a nice cambered lug set that wraps around the wrist and a strap with zero daylight showing between case and strap end. It's a substantial piece with a lightly contrasting gray stitch in an anthracite alligator leather base. There is a wonderful system underneath. I just want to clarify that the bottom is calfskin. It's made in France, probably Camille Fournet, a supplier to the Richemont companies. The clasp is a nice piece because it allows you to adjust and then tuck any residual length underneath the body of the clasp and underneath the body of the strap, so you don't wind up with unsightly minder loops on the strap itself. It has a rather Baroque look about it, being a combination of wire and hollowed out inner swing arms, and I feel almost like this is the one part of the watch that feels most distinctly of the 1990s, but it does work well and it closes and locks shut, so I actually appreciate its function as well as the cleanliness of the adjustment it produces. The case is fascinating. First, it's true to the original Santos, designed by Louis Cartier in 1904 for dirigible pilot Alberto Santos Dumont of Brazil. He needed both hands to operate that kind of machine, an airship, and thus he needed his watch on his arm at all times, and thus the first pilot's watch, the Santos, was born. But there have been some changes. Satin finished flanks in red gold. There's a handsome bevel that runs the entire outer periphery of the case right down to the tips of the lugs, and then you can see that there's a mirrored bevel, quite literally mirrored in polish and mirroring that on the case. So you have polished bevels top and bottom. The crown guard is a fairly committed shear guard. It does actually serve the purpose of a crown guard. There is considerable recess of the faceted crown inside those guards, so they're there for style but also to serve a purpose. There's a blue spinel cut in the form of a blue sapphire, a signature of the Cartier brand. One of the principal changes between the prior Santos model and this 2018, first there's the bevel that runs right down to the tip of the lug, but more substantively from a style standpoint, you can see that the rounded square bezel that's been part of the Santos line since the beginning now actually tapers and flows out a bit over the hoods of the lugs. It's no longer a perfect trace of the dial form. The dial itself will be familiar to Cartier fans. It's silvered with the stylized Roman numerals, including the Watchmaker's 4, a piano key inner track for minutes and seconds, blued broadsword style hands for the hours and minutes, and a counterweighted lancet style seconds hand. You will also, if you look carefully, spy the Cartier secret signature inside the V of the Roman numeral 7, and take note of the lack of a date, as the midsize does not feature a date, and for dress watch purists, that might be perfect. The watch has a Cartier manufactured caliber 1847 inside the case back, by the way 100 meters water resistant with a Rolex Milgauss style soft iron inner cage for anti-magnetism. You do have a hacking or stop seconds function. It beats at a 28.8 beat rate, 23 joules. The system gives you automatic winding and a 42-hour power reserve, and it uses Eticron for fine regulation, which means this can be set very precisely and regulated to chronometer time. The potential of the movement is vast, even as it is a highly capable and, in this canister, toughened and hardened movement. See the Cartier Santos Medium and make it yours on the Watchbox. And I'm back with Cartier Santos Medium. I rarely do a part 2 to videos that's not a loom shot, but I wanted to demonstrate both the QuickSwitch system, which allows you to press the trigger on the bottom of either side of the strap and remove it. It's like the old Roadster system, but easier to use. And I also wanted to bring in something I didn't expect to have in the studio today, and by studio, I mean the light box, the Santos Large. You can actually compare them and see them side by side and get a sense of scale. Both of them are appealing. Both of them are suitable for use by a man as a sports watch or a dress watch, but you'll note the symmetry of the dial of the smaller watch without the date and the date on the larger watch. So you might come down to a choice between a watch with a date and no date. Are you a purist? You want the medium. Are you perhaps a little bit more practical? Maybe you want the large, but you do have choices, and that's a wonderful thing. See them both on the watch box.